Welcome to the Sky LTI technical preview. LTI stands for Light for Imaging. A bit of a play on words here, as LTI is meant to be a lightweight front end to all the power of the Sky Professional, but with a much more accessible user interface. What is a technical preview? Well, it's a real product still in development, but it's not technically a beta, but it is still very usable. It's sort of an experimental sandbox or proving ground for new technologies that are going to make their way into the Sky Professional desktop, but are showing up first in the LTI version of the product. I should note that anything in this that you are going to see or play with can change before its official release. We're still trying to figure some things out, and that's why we're issuing the technical preview in the first place, to get some feedback from users to see if we're going where we need to be going. Again, many of the new technologies will be migrated upstream, and so if you really like, say, App Focus 3 or the improved screen stretch or full color preview, those are coming to the desktop very soon as well. They were just developed in the LTI first, so as to make less of a mess in the Sky Professional code base, and then it'll come up there eventually. So what about the LTI's intended audience? Well, it's generally intended for beginning or hands-on pretty picture astrophotographers. This is what I am, not a beginner. At least I'd like to think I'm not a beginner anymore, but I am a pretty picture astrophotographer. So I like to go out and set up and take beautiful astrophotographs. Anyone for whom the Sky Professional is a bit overwhelming, we hope that they will find the LTI interface a simpler and more direct approach to imaging. And it does capitalize on the Paramount experience. The Paramount is a world-class telescope mount, but the Sky Professional is also world-class software, and they are designed, both of them, to work together. And the Paramount experience, we feel, is unparalleled, and LTI kind of embodies that experience in the best way that we can bring that forward. The LTI interface also, the emphasis is on small screens and portable imagers. This is not intended for people with two 30-inch monitors in their observatory, or they set them up in those little hunting tents at star parties. This is for tablets, either iOS or Android, or netbooks, where a small interface is all that you have available. The long-range goal, of course, is in what we call embedded imaging, where the computer disappears. We really need to get to a point where users don't think about booting a computer, finding their program, running it. They just simply turn a box on, and the Sky LTI comes up and it says, okay, let's take some images. You take your images, save them to a jump drive, or send them to a network drive somewhere where you can get them, and then shut everything down, and you're done. There are a number of target audiences for which it is not really well suited. One size does not fit all, and you can't please everyone with one application. So we're doing a division of goals here, and we hope LTI is perfect for people coming to imaging, but we also know that LTI will fall far short for some of our current customers' needs. For starters, LTI is not a planetarium program, and advanced charting and planning features are left to other programs or the Sky Professional itself, of course. It's also not intended for advanced imagers with established workflows. We're not trying to take anybody who is happy with the Sky Professional and convert them over to use LTI. Just a reminder, if you see something you like in LTI, it will make its way into the regular desktop version soon too. This is intended as a fast route to success for beginning imagers, and a quick and dirty interface that some advanced imagers will also appreciate, especially when imaging on the road. There's no observatory control. Don't even ask where the dome control is. We don't even have rotator support. This is just a simple interface for down and dirty imaging. Also, if you're using a full automation suite, or you're doing data mining, or have weather center integration with your roof and all that sort of thing, this is not ever intended to be a replacement for that. You are in good shape, and you can just keep doing what you're doing now and be happy with it. Also, if you have some specialized imaging goals, if you're doing, sky surveys or spectroscopy or something weird, and you know what I'm talking about, those sorts of things, you need all of the power and capability and flexibility of the Sky Professional on your desktop. But honestly, everybody doesn't need a 747 or a space shuttle. They just want to get from point A to B and get some images in that night. Okay, so this is a little delicate to bring up, but I feel I should come right out and say it. But we do have users who genuinely think imaging should remain difficult, and that end users should spend a lot of time paying their dues, reading and studying, doing trial and error, learning the ropes, and you know who you are. But you're probably going to hate LTI, and that's fine. We're happy that we already have a product that meets your needs, and we wish you the best, and we're not going to stop working on that. We'll keep adding power and flexibility to the SkyX for our more advanced users, and that's wonderful. But our end goal is really nothing less than to make imaging as easy and fun as possible and make it more accessible to people who are brand new to the hobby. We still have a long way to go towards that goal, of course, but LTI is our venue where we're going to be pursuing that goal moving forward. So before we get started, though, on a quick tour, let me point out a few things about the technical preview. First, the Sky LTI is the SkyX Professional. It's simply an alternate GUI front end on the exact same program. You can actually switch back and forth between the SkyX Professional and the SkyX LTI. Just run the SkyX Professional with /WB on the command line, and it will start in the LTI mode. You should be aware that the intent of LTI mode is to have many options in the SkyX Professional already configured in a particular way. So booting up into LTI mode on a Skybox device, for example, is the ultimate goal. But LTI also has a lot of appeal on desktops and laptops, especially netbook computers. So going back and forth, it'll be quite easy to turn something on that is in the main interface that might be very inconvenient to have on in LTI, and then it can't be turned back off directly in LTI mode, and you end up having to switch back to the SkyX Professional and so forth. So be aware those are the issues that we're honestly still figuring out, and one of the reasons we're giving the tech preview to end users, because end users are often far more creative at finding issues in our software than we are. So anyway, you have been warned. So let's get going. Let's take a look at the SkyX LTI and see what it looks like. Just a quick overview. Okay, so here is the SkyX LTI, and you can see the familiar SkyX chart is displayed. And as I said a minute ago, the start chart settings are set up from the SkyX Professional. In a Skybox or embedded sort of scenario, we'll have a certain set of things that are turned on by default. This just reflects my own personal preferences for how Sky charts should look initially. The SkyX LTI is sort of workflow directed. You work your way down the right-hand side as you go through your imaging workflow, and there's a set of tabs with different views. The center tab, of course, is the Sky chart. If you want to, if you want to look around for objects to select, or select an object and slew to it. There is an activity log that you can save to disk, everything that goes on. That's useful for diagnostic purposes, among other things. And there's a main imager tab to look at the last image taken, or you can load it. This is sort of a FitzViewer equivalent from the SkyX Pro desktop. And obviously I didn't take this picture of Mickey Mouse in the sky, but I just loaded an image from my disk to show that we do have full color support, so DSLRs and one-shot color cameras. We've actually snuck in the Bayer matrix pattern into most of the plugins that, all the plugins that I'm responsible for about the last year. So there's a handful of cameras that have color support ready to go. DSLR, Canon DSLRs, for example, QSI, Attic, QHY, which may be shipping soon, will have color support. Starlight Express also. Actually, Starlight Express was the first one, so how can I forget that? So let's get to work here. Let me just give you a quick overview, and then I'm going to have individual videos that highlight each of these subsections I'm going to talk about. So you work your way down the right-hand side. All your devices are configured the same way, and you just connect to them with one button, and boom, you're connected to all your devices. There's some wizards that walk you through setup. A rough polar alignment wizard will help you get roughly polar aligned any time of day. It'll even pick an object for you, like the moon or something, or one of the planets during the day. Characterize autofocuser is where we're going to set up how many steps the focuser needs to move if you have an autofocuser to move the focuser a sufficient amount to detect changes in focus. Characterize imager, a very important wizard. You only need to do this once. What we do is take some pictures and figure out what your plate scale is and your all that sort of thing. You really need to, ImageLink is a core component of this. A lot of the automatic magic stuff that we do assumes that ImageLink will work. So characterize imager sort of makes sure that that's the case. T-point could not be any easier. You just, once we've characterized the imager and we know enough about your system, you just say start T-point and it'll run for you automatically. Turn on ProTrack. You can select a couple of commonly used sample sizes. 106, I almost didn't put that in there, but with a longer focal length this is still somewhat useful and we might need more samples. Moderate focal lengths normally don't need that many T-point samples for ProTrack to start kicking in. There's also some advanced and manual ways to do this, and I'll have videos about that to explain those things later. The next thing, of course, you're going to do once you're set up and aligned. Oh, I almost forgot. A missing setup wizard here. Rough polar alignment for short focal lengths is mostly all you need for short focal lengths. But we are going to add an accurate polar alignment where we slew to a star and you adjust the mount to recenter the star to get a more accurate polar alignment. So just let me forestall all those emails right now and say, yes, that's coming. Search for a target. It's the same. It's the same search mechanism that's in the Sky X Professional. And of course, once you've selected a target, either click it on the screen or search for it this way. You can slew to the target. You can turn on verify photographically, which is just sort of a non-geeky way of saying closed loop slew. I challenge you to ask the barista at Starbucks if he or she knows what closed loop slew means, and they'll say no. But if you say verify photographically, I bet they could make a better guess. So I just kind of changed the terminology there for the LTI beginner crowd, and even for myself, it just makes sense. I kind of like that. Getting focused, of course, getting a target and getting on it, you want to get focused. Add focus 3. There'll be a whole video about Add Focus 3, how that works. I think that you're really going to like that. We have dithering capabilities for non-guiding. This actually dithering and guiding in the labs. We don't have guiding, and guiding's not going to be available probably for a while, maybe never. I don't know if I'll get away with that. I'm going to say out loud, I think guiding just needs to die and go away. Saying that will make some people's blood run cold, I know. But if you have a paramount and a moderate focal length, which most people are imaging with, guiding is really an unnecessary complexity. If ProTrack, T-point and ProTrack and these things, if we make that very easy, a lot of people are going to be very successful without having to guide. And so, again, this product is really designed for the paramount experience initially. Down the road, of course, we'll probably add guiding, and of course, we're going to support other mounts and things. But initially, out the gate, we're of course going to make our own stuff work really well. Of course, you can take images, control the temperature, and all those sorts of things. Adjust the exposure length, and those sorts of things. Also, take series, of course, is an integral part of any imaging run. You want to select the time for each exposure, and you want to repeat this exposure so many times, and then perhaps repeat the entire series. Now, this interface is a good bit different than the take series in the Sky X. If people like it, we'll bring it into the Sky X, down the road. But the interface in the Sky X with the graph and the grid, that's a terrible interface for a touch screen. I'm sure some people think it's a terrible interface on the desktop, and some people think it's a wonderful interface on the desktop. I'm not going to debate that, but that interface does not work on a tablet at all, much less try to select some tiny little scroll bar and drag it back and forth. So this allows you to kind of page through your imaging steps, and one of the imaging steps, of course, will be at focus 3. So at any point during your series, you can focus, every so many exposures, every time you change filters and so forth and so on. So that'll be very nice. A lot of people are going to like that. Also, yes, let me just avoid all the forum posts. Yes, of course, it does meridian flips automatically. It's quite easy to do on a Paramount if you're not guiding. It just gets past it. Anyway, there'll be a video about that later when we'll go into more details, so I'll make you wait. There's also a set of utilities because, again, the Sky LTI is sitting on top of the Sky Professional, and so you might want to know what version of the Sky am I actually running, and of course you're going to want to need to be able to set your location, some things like that. Perhaps there's some advanced preferences that we need to tweak. Gonna have to go back and blot out those serial numbers, so just a reminder myself. You can get yourself into trouble with these advanced preferences. There's no toolbars. This is the same dialog as from the Sky Professional. So be careful here. We may need to remove this for embedded cases, but on a desktop, it's very useful to be able to go in and tweak things without necessarily having to restart the Sky to get the old desktop interface back. Also, configure field of view indicators, of course, is also a very useful thing to do. So we need access to that. You can also run your own JavaScripts. Some of the early we do have some insiders who've been running this for a little while now, and some of them are doing some custom scripting using this. And also, a lot of the scripts, a lot of the functionality of this is actually script based, and so if something gets struck, we can abort the script just by clicking here, and it sort of resets it. And these may go away in the final release, but I'm not going to take them out for public release. People can play with them if they find them useful, or savvy users may get stuck, and this may save them from having to start over. Then they can tell me about it, and we can address problems that way. Also, of course, in the interest of making the computer go away, update software. Eventually, we want to get away, with downloading daily builds and installing them on your computer, because my goal is to make people forget the computer. It's just a box, and it's the Sky in the box. And so really it'd be nice just to say, update yourself, and if you're on the internet, it'll update the components that it needs and updates it. There's a good bit of work there, but it's in progress. So anyway, that's sort of the 50-cent tour, or the 40,000 foot view of the Sky LTI. The main features, just a very simple, small screen interface that will work well on a tablet or a small computer. And then you just work your way down this tab list, through your imaging run. One more thing I want to show you in Take Series. You can also add targets to Take Series. So this is not a full automation program. We're going to make you wait for Orchestrate 2 for that. But if you just have 2 or 3 objects you want to image over a night, you can certainly set this up to do a night's run, do all the focusing along the way, and I think this is going to be fairly nice. And also, to prevent some nasty grams, you can actually maximize this screen. So on a bigger laptop, you can get a bigger version of the FITS viewer and that sort of thing. But that is also to be done and discussed later. I think that's enough for now. So tune in to the next video. We'll talk about doing setting up your devices, and we'll go through pretty much the full feature list before we're done. Thank you.